Good morning. Today, these are the parts I'm going to be installing. I've got the Renogy Battery Monitor here. That's the shunt that has to go on the negative line between the batteries and the inverter. Some 4-aught lugs to put on, new cable cutters, and the wire that goes between the monitor and the shunt. So the first thing I'm going to do is figure out where this ends up. The monitor, I'm thinking of putting it over here in line with all the other control modules. I don't think it's going to fit there. I think I've got a stud right here, so that's not going to work. But it'll look nice over here. So that's going to go there. Then I'm going to string the wire back. Show you in the bathroom here. So I've done 2 others after I put the wall up. So this wall, to take the mirror out, take a couple screws out here, pop this panel out, snake the wire through, drops down behind that panel through that little gap behind the toilet, to the bunkhouse, and back to the batteries. So depending on where the cable ends up, that will determine where the shunt goes. I'm hoping to get it as close to the batteries as possible. I think that's ideal. So that'll be my first job, and then I'll show you where the shunt's going to end up. And I'll be back once I get that done. Okay, an update on the progress. I've mounted the display unit right here. It's going to get double-sided taped to the back, so that'll sit right there. And the wiring goes into the bathroom, comes down the outer wall there, and then it's, like I said before, it's going to shoot. It shoots right beside the toilet into the bunkhouse. And it did reach that cable. Was just long enough to reach all the way over here to the batteries, and it ends up right here. So I'm going to put this shunt right up in between the positive and the negative terminal strips. So I have to run the negative cable up to here, and then from here back to the inverter, and I'm going to put the terminal strip on the end of the shunt as well, because it says it wants all the power going through the shunt. So I don't want to tap off this line with the shunt and then have some of it being pulled off through that ground strap. So I'm going to put all the ground straps through the shunt to make sure I get an accurate reading. So when I get that done, I've got to disconnect the batteries again to do all this. So I have to shut the heaters off, and I'll cut out some of that section of 4-aught cable to keep as a spare. So I will show you when I get done with that. Okay, finally the wiring is done. The negative goes up to the shunt, and then it continues on to the inverter. I've jumpered off the back of the shunt into the ground strap, the ground terminal there. The hardest part was this little positive line that has to go to the shunt. Got everything wired in, then it said put this wire in, and it has to go from the back side of this little green knob, this little green fitting. It has to come in from the back side, and it was a pain. So I had to disconnect everything and take the unit back out. But that's in. So now I'm going to connect this, which is the line for the controller. And then we'll go up front and see what the controller is saying. So that's in. Let's go see. Nothing is turned on at this point. So we'll go see what the controller is saying. And hopefully it's turned on. Yes, there is something there, if you can see it. Let's see if we can... Ah, there it is. Okay, so 2.5 volts. It's drawing 0.02 amps. I've got some settings I need to put in here. I need to tell it how many amp hours I have and the high and the low settings for the batteries. So I will do that next. But we have success. We have the battery monitor connected. I'll be back in a little bit. Okay, I've set the settings, set it for 600 amp hours. I'll show you that here. So I have low power settings, 600 amp hours, 14 volts full, 10 volts zero. But the main display is still showing 0 amp hours. I'm not sure what's going on there. But it is showing how many watts are being used, how many amps are being used, and the voltage of the battery. So that's working. I'll have to read the manual, see why it isn't recognizing the 600 volts. But the heater's back working, so I'll read the manual and figure out what's going on. I was just about to go in for lunch, and I noticed the display finally woke up. So it's showing what I was expecting. So 599 amp hours, 100% charged. So, not sure why it's flashing, but I'll read the manuals in where it's a little bit warmer. So at least that woke up. So that's good news. So I think we're all set with the monitor and the wiring of the batteries. So that was a long process, but we got it all done. So again, thank you for watching, and I'll keep you updated as I make more changes to the bus and get it ready for its big trip.